You're listening to The Watchers, a show where two women from opposite ends of New Jersey watch TV about completely empty islands with no one on them, except for the teeth.
Except for the teeth.
But we don't talk about that, Jerry.
Except for the teeth.
The number of teeth references in 4 episodes of this show already makes me laugh so hard.
Why are teeth... I mean, I know why. It's because they're grotesque. Like, that's 100% why there's something grotesque about.
Yeah, they're nightmares.
Teeth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're Andrea.
I almost said, I'm Jody. You're
Nope.
Jody.
Yes. You're Andrea. And we're watching Widow's Bay. And it is so fucking delightful.
And if you asked me what the tone of the show is, I would say it understands that teeth are both horrifying and hilarious.
Yes.
This is the show. That's the horror comedy of it.
Yes. I also I read a great line on RogerEbert.com that said, it's a reminder of how easily laughs and scares can coexist in the same space, not unlike what would happen if Jordan Peele decided to reboot Northern Exposure.
Oh, I mean...
Which I would love.
Jordan Peele, you should do that.
Yeah, exactly. And then in The Guardian, they said, coming in the waters infested with sea hags, but lovely.
Great.
That's just the tone. It's just exactly what I needed right now. It's been a long winter. And this sort of, I don't know who said this, if it was you or me recently. I think it was one of us. Who knows who it was? It could have been the sea hag that I talked to the other day while I was swimming. But that it feels like an anthology of Stephen King stories. Like a Night Shift or a Skeleton's Crew. Is that the one?
Sounds like something you or I would say. I don't know for sure if we did, but let's take credit for it. That was really smart when we said that.
I definitely thought it.
It's definitely accurate wherever it came from.
Well, because because of that thought, I was recently looking up, because I stopped reading Stephen King when I was probably in high school, like early high school.
Same. I'm trying to remember the last new one of his that I would have read.
Yeah, for me it would be early 90s was when I was kind of my tastes were shifting. Mm-hmm. But I was an obsessive and up until that point. And I think the longest book I had read until high school was probably the Tommyknockers.
Oh, God. That's 100% the case for me, too.
That book was it was a cube.
What a good
but Night Shift and Skeleton Crew, I think, is the other one that was the early 80s, late 70s ones that were the big collections.
Yeah.
When I was getting into him. And so this really feels like that to me, where it's all going to come together because it's one place. It's not totally separate stories, but famously that Stephen King sets his stories in the same universe. That's often.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. You could kind of flip through these if they were found in a book and be there's blah, blah, blah popping up. And yeah. They
kind of feel like many of them, especially this last one, feels like it could be a standalone parable episode, you know? And so what we're going to do today, now that we've already just started babbling about how much we love the show, is we did talk last week about a bit about the making of and the ethos behind the show and the creative team. Katie Dippold, executive producer and writer, a collection of amazing directors, including Hiro Murai, who did the first 5. The cast we kind of went through, so we're not going to redo that. If anyone missed last week's or is here just for Widow's Bay and wants to hear us talk about that, just go back to last episode. I did see some incredibly exciting guest star news.
Who?
The one that made me lose my mind, the guest star that they've said nothing else about, that is going to come into an episode probably, or is definitely coming into at least one episode. Chris Fleming.
Perfect. Wow.
The most middle Massachusetts man.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with Chris Fleming.
Wow. Thrilling.
Absolutely thrilling.
Is he going to be the kind of character? Or is he somebody?
I don't know.
I wonder.
I don't know, but he's got the perfect vibe.
Yes.
For this show.
Huh. Oh, that is exciting.
Yeah. So that really, Betty Gilpin from Glow, who I also love, but Chris Fleming made me like jump out of my seat.
Oh, are there other names you want to rattle off for us? Or
those are the only
ones?
three that I saw in this article. But I have a feeling like there is, in one of the, I think it was an NPR article, something I was reading, they were talking about how there's stuff coming that they have been basically sworn, like people coming, I think that they basically have been sworn to secrecy about.
Exciting. So the one thing, just to like maybe start a little more holistically, like you said, we did a lot of that last week, but the cast of this, especially those people who get to show up for an episode here or there, is so exciting. Tim Baltz, who I've been a huge Tim Baltz fan because he's a mainstay on Comedy Bang Bang, and he's Randy Snuts, who I just is one of my favorite characters. And then dearly departed now, episode 4, Toby Huss, Arnie from Pete and Pete. Jersey connections all over, but especially I was so excited. Like that would be, if I were Katie Dippold, that would be, I'm assuming she's a Pete and Pete fan. That would be a dream for me.
Oh, yes. 100%.
And then in this most recent episode, which we'll get into, Connor Ratliff.
Yes.
Which makes 100%. Sense that,
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. So I heard his voice before.
Yeah. The other thing about, so the comedy connection that you're talking about with Connor Ratliff and Jeff Hiller, the first episodes we've watched have all been directed by Hiro Murai, but the other 3 directors that are listed for this season are Samuel Donovan, Ty West, Samuel Donovan, who did some of Severance, Ty West, who does mostly horror, and Andrew DeYoung. Do you know what Andrew DeYoung has done?
I'm not sure.
Episodes of Shrill, Pen 15, Our Flag Means Death, Chair Company. He worked with Kate Berlant and John Early on Would It Kill You to Laugh? And worked on Friendship, the Tim Robinson Show.
Great.
He is like improv comedy, hardcore director.
Do you think there's going to be a cursed improv troupe?
I hope so. I need Kate Berlant to show up at some point as like a witchy, Kate
Berlant has a great face for this show too.
Totally.
There are so many actors that, or not so many, but there are a handful of actors where I'm like, oh, you got a face for Widow's Bay.
Absolutely.
She's one of them.
Yeah. So that's really exciting. Thinking about the reason that, like, even though Andrew DeYoung has not been directing the episodes we've seen so far, that combination of comedy, like real improv comedy people and real horror movie people, like that's usually there's like the Hollywood version of that, right? Yes. There's like, oh, we have this person who's known for comedy, but it's like, you're like, okay, it's not the kind of comedy that you and I are super into.
It's not like Deep in Their Bones comedy where it's like,
right.
Yeah.
No, but these are the people, right? She said, and there's 7 other writers. This is from an NPR interview on the show with her. Some of them came from mythology heavy shows like WandaVision. She said, and then I had, a couple of old time friends in comedies, some of the best comedy writers I know from like SNL, Key and Peele. And so she was talking about how that room, like, it was kind of 2 halves at first of like the mythology type heads and the like improv comedy type people, and how they like came together in the room.
Cool.
That's why it works.
Yes. And it's so hard. We've talked comedy horror a ton on this show. So
yeah, that's why Yellow Jackets was our thing.
Yes. And it is, I'm so picky about it, and it really is nailing it. Like, it just is crushing it.
Totally. I mean, the Parks and Rec thing we talked about, like her writing on Parks and Rec, apparently there was a version of this show that was a pilot, or not a pilot, a spec script for a Parks and Rec episode that she wrote. That is part of what got her the job on Parks and Rec. It was a much jokier version of this.
Right.
But
you could see a much jokier version of this show also
100%.
Working. And one where it's like a documentary film crew comes in to be like, is this, whatever, and then that would be a fun show too. But I love
like a ghost hunting series comes to the island,
and you're never totally sure if it's real or not. But what I love about this show is it is real. We know
it is real. We know. Yeah. That's the thing. So we've been talking so much lately about like how Pitt's not a mystery box show, and like Yellow Jackets is a mystery box show, and Severance is, and like things that are and aren't. And this one presents as a mystery box show, and it has elements of like reveals that are coming, but I almost don't care what they are. Like, I'm on board already.
Yes. And in fact, if our only reveal was, I don't know, man, the
island's fucked up. Yeah.
This island's fucked up and that's what's going to happen. Like, I'm fine with that. I was thinking as I was going to sleep last night, I was thinking about one of my favorite things about these kinds of movies and shows where it's a bunch of different fucked up stuff happening. And Cabin in the Woods is a good example of it. It's also a good example of horror comedy, Scandal noted. But aside from that, it's like figuring out what the plot device is that allows for that. So
yeah,
Buffy, we've talked about the Hellmouth, Cabin in the Woods. There's a whole, if you haven't seen that movie, go watch that movie. There's a lot of fun stuff going on there. And then here it being that there's something wrong with this island is fine. Great,
yeah.
Good. You can do anything. The other thing I was thinking about last night is that because the show is horror comedy, and it's also a level pulled from, this is the Parks and Rec and Office of it too, where it's like, it's a level pulled from reality just above.
Mm-hmm.
If you lived in a world where horror was real, like where these things were real, and this was a TV show, it would still be one level removed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it's heightened.
It's a little and a little broad, maybe.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
And because of that, then you really can be really kind of quick and loose and leany. I was sort of leany into, and you can really lean into the all of the tropes, like the episode 2, the fact that it's stay overnight in a haunted house plus haunted hotel plus haunted basement plus clown, like it's all jammed into one little.
Yes.
You couldn't even on a regular, you just have to be perfectly positioned for that to work, and they've done it.
Yeah. One of the things I've been doing with my notes is every time there's some sort of like urban legend or horror trope or story that, because like, as we've talked about, I did not watch a lot of horror movies after I was like in my early teens. And so there's a big chunk of those references that I'm missing. But I was obsessed enough with witchy movies and witchy things and Stephen King that like I've got some of that stuff in there, and like it keeps pinging in my head, like these different tropes.
I think episode 2 is such a good example of that, when he's like literally going through the checklist that they were also going through in the writer's room, that there's more than one thing you have to do in the dark, because when he's going from ugly Hortense,
ungrateful Hortense,
to counting in the dark in the closet. Like, I know you and I do this a lot, and it's something we did on New Jersey is the World too, where it's like, is this New Jersey? Is this growing up in the 90s? Is this suburban? It's a little bit of everything. But there's something, it just felt to like every episode feels to me like a sleepover.
Yes.
Or,
where you're playing light as a feather, stiff as a board, which famously works.
Yeah. Well, I started to agree with you. Or obviously, as we'll talk about every week, I'm sure, leafing through an issue of New Jersey, or leafing through an issue of Weird New Jersey at a sleepover. Yeah. And okay, last thing. And the horror comedy of it is so Jersey. How many times were you out with your friends at night so scared and laughing so hard?
On Clinton Road.
It's just like going
100%.
Going to see the Atco Ghost, like over and over. I have so many memories of that.
Running through the basement of Overbrook Mental Hospital, like hoping there weren't any Nazis down there, like, or Satanists.
Or Satan.
Or Satan.
You never know.
But usually so as I got older, I think maybe one of the reasons I stopped watching horror, who knows, I'll have to ask my therapist, is like, I started to realize that the people were scarier. Like when you're at Overbrook, which no longer exists, but if you were in the basement of Overbrook in 1995 or 6 or 7, like I was, you were far more scared of the like crazy Satanists that were like holding rituals in the basement, which granted were most likely teenagers like spray painting stuff and like lighting things on fire. But then you were of like the ghosts of the mental hospital, at least to me. Like that was the real fear. Before we move on from what you were just saying about the hotel, I do want to just, because you're talking about the like list of it all, the scene where Matthew Rhys, Tom Loftus, is in the restaurant and all the locals are like, you have to, so they're talking about him staying in the hotel and proving to them that it's not real. And he says, if that's what it takes, I'll stay there tonight. And this is like the Greek chorus group of guys sitting there. They say, you have to stay in the captain's suite. The what? Lost his mind, got his family with an axe. Of course, we named a suite after him. Anything else? The ungrateful Hortense Fitzgerald. Was she the lady who fell out a window? Ugly woman who fled her wedding, backed through a window and fell to her death. If you say ugly Hortense 3 times, you will see her ungrateful reflection.
Her ungrateful reflection.
And he says, I'm going to ask that we start questioning these narratives. There's misogyny in the air, more than a whiff. And they say, you're not writing this down. Oh, sorry. Oh, New Year's Eve, 1962, disaster. Yeah, John Reynolds' head in the dumbwaiter. Mm-hmm. That clown killer of 51. Oh, yeah, the guy who killed clowns? No, it was a murderer who dressed as a clown.
Obviously.
He should spend time in that crawl space. Oh, yeah. All the way to the back, too. Like, it's one of those really, yeah. And so Katie Dippold has said that, like, there's a haunted hotel at the Jersey Shore that was one of the things that, like, she liked to scare herself with as a kid. And there are a few of them. There's one in Spring Lake, there's Ocean City, there's Cape May. But it does kind of, like, reek of that, testing each other. Like,
yes,
when I was sneaking around Overbrook with my friend Jeff, and like we were kind of like daring each other to go in the basement because neither of us wanted to, but we both really wanted to.
It's so fun to see it that she's come up with a reason for it to exist into adulthood. That everybody on this island still has the pleasure of. What do you remember? Do you remember this in the last 3 weeks? The first moment that really hooked you with the show.
Oh, geez.
It's okay if you don't.
It was the dialogue, actually. It wasn't like the spooky stuff. It was the quippy, like, Parks and Rec back and forth. What I mentioned last week, the don't shit your diaper in the background. There's just some, like, really great, like, there's the type of lines you would expect. And then there's also some running... not gags, but some running threads that I find really amusing. One of which is, and this was already in episode 1, Patricia's constant out loud acknowledgement of the sexism of all of the things around her, like talking about, you shouldn't assume it's a male writer. And he's like, but they said they were sending a man. And she's like, oh, that's okay then. And the like comments about the 53-year-old woman and the 16-year-old man and the 16-year-old girl, like,
were all the old women dead?
Yeah, exactly. And so that, we'll get to that at the end. I have some very loose theories that are kind of fun and jumping around in my head. But before we get to episode 4, which we are kind of technically here to recap, I think we should do what we said we were going to do and go through each episode and just kind of highlight a few things from each.
Yeah.
So let's start with episode 1. I led us in with one of my favorite moments from that episode, which was them talking about Richard Warren arriving on the totally empty island except for the teeth.
Except for the teeth.
That's one of my favorites.
That's so good. Except for the teeth.
Except for the teeth. I just mentioned the mayor or the founder of the island, Richard Warren. That is actually the name of someone who was on the Mayflower and signed the Mayflower Compact.
Fun. So they specifically pulled a name that...
Yes, they're specifically pulling not just from like lore, but they're also pulling from... actual like New England history.
That's perfect. Great. I love that. I think that's really smart. I always said the Parks and Rec of it. Are you also getting Severance vibes, speaking of the founder, or is it just...
I am not getting as much Severance vibes, but I see where you're going with that. But I think Severance is so self-serious that I cannot like bring them together in my head.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean,
I love Severance
does make me laugh, but it's in a very different way. My first like big moment that really where I was like, oh, this is exactly the kind of show I want it to be, and I'm so thrilled, is when Arthur, the journalist, that's his name, right? Yeah. Is in the like historical center with Jerry, and they're talking about the cannibalism, and Tom is trying to refute it, and it is like a quick hard cut to them with the giant cannibalism newspaper framed between them. Such a it's so like I keep wanting to say slapstick. That's not the word, but it's just so on the nose It made me laugh like out loud.
Yeah.
It was such a good surprise.
The one in that same scene that got me is there's a bunch of other fun things on that wall, and one of them is a newspaper article that just says, "Man found dead by horse."
Yes.
It's very good.
Perfect.
Also, just a side note, the second oldest lighthouse in America, which they keep saying theirs is actually in Sandy Hook, New Jersey, and I just like to say that.
Do you think
to give
is
credit where credit's due?
Credit. Do you think, maybe, Jody, what if this island is New Jersey and it's just been like shifted? Okay, new theory.
Oh God,
And
it's
we're gonna find out
spiritually New Jersey.
that it's 1992 in New Jersey.
Oh my God.
I love it.
Another one of my favorite moments that's just a dialogue bit is when Tom says, "Oh, fuck Cape Cod," because there is as someone who's been in New England a long time now, there is such a weird, grumpy rivalry between all of these sort of resort New England islands and towns. And they all have their own little like reputation and grudge against each other. Like the Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, like it's so like high school rivalry stuff.
I love that.
And so the fuck Cape Cod thing is just so funny to me.
Do they talk about how much, if any, of the script is improvised?
I haven't seen anything on that yet. No.
I would love to know. There's just a tiny little moment in that when he says "fuck Cape Cod," and Tom's like, "I said that," and then Arthur says, "I can report that. Yes, I can put that in my thing."
Yeah, I totally noted that.
That's not a scripted line.
I know.
That's like maybe he forgot what he was supposed to say,
and they just kept it.
Yeah, it was
fun.
It's fun and it feels so real. I really loved it.
Yeah, this is also where we get the seeding of what we just saw in this episode with Trish, because there's a scene where Trish and Tom are talking, and she says, "Tom, do you remember the boogeyman? I probably already told you about that time in high school when I was home alone the night he came." And he says, "I think you did tell me that story." And she says, "Okay, God forbid you hear it again. It's only the most terrifying thing that's ever happened to me."
I love that whole thread of learning about that story, because then when I rewatched that after episode 4, I was like, however, like that's a final girl trope, whether we believe her or not. I just remembered the actual first thing that really got me. It's before Arthur gets there. It's when Tom says he's coming and she says, "Did you tell him about my paintings?"
Oh God, yeah, that was a good one.
Perfect.
There's also the moment, we got to be careful just not to go through all the lines, but there's also the moment where our first scene with Jeff Hiller, where they're talking about the old hospital, and he's like, "So I guess you don't want me to take him to the old hospital?" And Tom says, "No, I don't, Dale." And I think you knew that. We better get a hospital episode.
We're going to get a hospital episode.
We have to.
And then Rosemary's follow-up to that. Like, it's perfectly safe to drive by the old hospital. You just can't stop there.
See, now, if that was New Jersey, everyone stops at the old hospital. You just break in.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, we also know another thing we learned, I think, is so important. Rosemary's colorblind. I think Rosemary might be my favorite character. She has a whole life going on that the rest of us don't.
So many of the lines I highlighted are her lines.
When she says,
Yeah, you go.
When she says, "I can't do anything right today," and it's like, we don't know what else happened in her day today.
And she also, so the colorblind thing, she said, "Tom, we just learned Rosemary's colorblind. Basically, what you see as blue, I see as blue-green." It's such
an important distinction.
Such a Parks and Rec vibe. Mm-hmm. She also is gossiping about someone who has syphilis. She's great. I love her. I also love that like she has a slightly different role in the latest episode.
Yeah.
Like where she's kind of got more than just like grumpy quippy lady. Like she's actually more a part of what's happening.
But she's being supportive, so that's the good thing.
Oh, they also shit on Bar Harbor in this, which is also great. Bahaba. Wick, we could be the next Bar Harbor. Ooh, fancy.
Another thing that this show does so well is having the skeptic who does also believe but can't fully admit. We get that in one of the previous episodes where he and Wick are talking kind of like quietly together. And Wick says like, something's happening. You have to call this off. And Tom just says, like, he doesn't say, yes, I do, but he does say, I can't call it off. And so, but what they get to do then are these, like in the first episode with Is Shep Alive or Dead, where it's like, first he's lying about it, then they find him, then he is cursed, then he's okay, then like that back and forth it makes sense in this show, and it makes it so that I get to be like, I get to play along with it too, because sometimes things aren't going to be, like, yeah.
Right, but I do like the fact that they're not, like, obviously I don't need to caveat that I love Yellow Jackets, but like the is it supernatural, is it not thing, you can only drag that out for so long. And they put that to bed in like episode 2 in the show. And I was like, good, let's just not have that argument. Also, time is working strangely.
Time is, okay, yes. That was the theory I was saving for 4.
Well, we'll talk about it more when we get there. But I do think that like this is where, because I went back and rewatched, this might be the most rewatchable show I've ever seen, because I've already rewatched the first 4 episodes multiple times.
And there's still so much, yeah.
But like Shep is 37 on his medical records.
And Tom's, okay, so yes, this is such a good example of time of what you just said, and also what this show does so well, because first time I watched that episode, first time I saw that moment, it just made me laugh. I was like, oh, that's silly. He's like New England, they're kind of hard Scrabble. He's like weather worn.
Right.
And then the second time, I'm like, oh, was there a reason he would lie about his age? Mm-hmm. And now this time when I watched it, I came to the exact same feeling you did, which is he's 37 and it's not a joke. Like, well,
and we have the throwaway line from Trish just after that where she says, I learned my biological age is 28.
28, which is like a funny, and it's another one where the first time I heard it, I kind of wasn't thinking about the fact that they don't have the internet and stuff. If Patricia lived on the mainland, she would be one of those people like obsessively taking online quizzes.
Yeah,
that's where quiz. You would, and that's where you would find that out. But yeah, she just learned her biological age is 28, and then.
We'll talk about the hotel room time stuff when we get to episode 2, but.
So maybe this is Lost Island, actually.
Is there anything else just to keep us on track in this episode that we want to highlight? I want to put a pin in the calendar with the Wolves calendar that has an overturned truck in it in 1 month. The underground room with the chair, that was in this first episode.
Yeah, I do. I'm glad that you noted the chair underground, because I want to talk about that at the end.
Yeah, definitely.
The most important thing to be tracking is that if you are born on the island, you can't leave.
Correct.
Is the theory that if you do, you die. Tom was born off island, but he spent his summers there, which is very Jersey Shore.
So that's the thing that I was going to say when I was talking about the like competition between vacation locations, right? And at the end of this episode, Arthur says, I get it. You don't want to be in Nantucket. You want to be Salem. There's also, so there's this like, everyone has like summer places that people go where they're from, right? In New Jersey, it's either the Jersey Shore or it's like upstate New York or possibly New England, right?
Or you might go to Myrtle Beach or Ocean City, Maryland. You might.
Right. And if you're in the New England area already, if you're like a Boston person, you go to New Hampshire, you go to Maine, you go to Bar Harbor, you go to the Cape. And so like there is, not only are these sort of different types of places that have these weird rivalries, but there's also the locals versus the summer people. And this is true everywhere. I've been going to Wolfboro, New Hampshire with my family since I was in my mom's stomach. Like she's been going since she was a kid. My grandparents built a house there. Like we have really, really old roots there, but we are summer people. And it is never not a thing. Like it is the locals versus the summer people, like that with Wick and Tom rang so true to me. The fact that he was a summer kid and like was completely disrespected because he was not brave enough to actually ring Wick's doorbell. Mm-hmm. Like, I think we got to kind of keep in mind, it's not only the like off island, you might die thing, but there's like this, he's not one of us.
Right.
About Tom.
No matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. But I like that by episode 3 and 4, we've already got almost like a buddy comedy going on with Wick and Tom.
I know. Oh, it's
just
great.
Getting better.
Mm-hmm.
We also want to just highlight quickly in episode 1, we're introduced to Kathy, the worst waitress of all time.
So funny.
Who's just a running gag at this point, but who knows where that'll go.
when he goes to pick up, I think it's in episode 2, doesn't matter, but because the only food he eats is from there, apparently. Like, he's not cooking at home because it's him and his, but he asks the other person who brings food out, Kathy bag this?
Yeah.
What has she done to his to-go
His
orders,
food.
Jody?
I know.
Uh-oh, there's the ghost.
The ghost cat. Okay, let's move on to episode 2. Do you have a specific highlight for episode 2 that you like either laughed out loud at or was like a big moment?
2 is full of them.
I know.
I have 2 main ones though.
Okay.
One is when Wick nails the door shut to the inn.
Oh God.
And then when they take him away, it's actually 2 moments in there. And first of all, he rolls the window down, and Tom's like, "Why can he roll down the window?" And the sheriff's like, "Because he's not in cuffs." Like, that's such a silly. But then the fact that it did nothing and they just open the door and go inside is so
he nailed
good.
the board just to the door.
Just to the door.
Not to the frame.
Really funny. I'm wondering if you're going to... I think I'm going to give you the gift of saying what I think might be yours. So I won't take it because
we'll see if it is. So for me, the first moment in that episode where I just kind of died was the games.
I knew. Yes. The games.
Like, it's not just teeth, which is a box with a pair of pliers in it. It is also Run.
Run is kind of spooky. Run is spooky, scary.
Run is very classic horror movie.
Not yet. Oh.
Yeah, I know. It's really good. Mm-hmm. And then the sort of misogynistic board games, Daddy's Home, which they end up playing. There's one called She Shouldn't Have Said That. Which is so good.
Yeah. The thing about Daddy's Home is that's Don't Wake Daddy, which was a real game.
Yeah. No, I know.
Like, which is not that, I mean, it's, but it's not that far off.
No, it really isn't. Like, my best friend actually collected board games. I think she still has them for a while, like vintage board games. And a lot of them are like that.
So crazy. I loved it.
Yeah, no, the board games were a big one for me. Mm-hmm. And then the very Twin Peaksian video that he watches in the hotel room of the guy welcoming you to Widow's Bay and then just walking away from the camera.
Forever.
Yeah.
And then when he is fast forwarding through it to see how long it takes, and then there's just that dark figure on the shore for a second before the TV breaks. Yeah. That's what I mean. Hilarious and then spooky.
Oh, so I think the big thing with episode 2 for me was, like, you could entertain the idea in episode 1 that there isn't anything supernatural happening. But by episode 2, we have a clown scampering faster than possible towards Tom in a crawl space. And you know what you're doing. Now you know where you are, right?
That was genuinely scary to me.
But I also laughed because I kind of knew it was coming.
It was the kind of fun, that laugh, first of all, when the angle of William's legs with him in the crawl space and the light behind him is so genuinely scary.
Yeah.
But I was doing the, like, happy, scared laugh. I was laughing at how scary it was. And then the clown is actually scary, but comical because, it's perfect. How many times have I said that?
I also like later on when the sheriff is there. I've thoughts about the sheriff. I love him. When the sheriff is there and he's asking, like, they realize that he was talking to himself, right? Mm-hmm. And you're like, it was a ghost the whole time. Oh my God, right? And he's like trying to like justify it. And the sheriff is checking out the house. And Tom asks him, "Oh, you didn't see anyone in the crawl space, huh?" And the sheriff says, well, does my demeanor suggest that I just engaged with someone inside a crawl space? I just so good. The deadpan.
The show is doing a lot because the fact that it can be as broad and silly, but then also include stuff like that and have it be, and like the line that you said from episode 1 with Dale is such a good one of like, and I think you knew that. It's like a totally different energy but it works.
This is also the episode where we get more time stuff, right? Because
spooky. Genuinely.
The hotelier, the innkeeper, goes into the room. They like dare him to be in there for 10 seconds, and the door opens, and he's incredibly disheveled looking. and distressed. And he's like, we said it was only gonna be 10 seconds. And you realize they do it again and it's even worse. And you realize that like time is not passing the same way in that room as it is elsewhere.
Or it's black mold, but
yeah, okay.
With this show, yeah.
I love that they gave it like a really half-hearted explanation. It wasn't even like, it was like, okay, yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Got it.
But this episode had a lot of like references. Like this was to me, one of the most reference-heavy episodes so far.
Totally.
Because it had like Shining vibes. It had like all the Bloody Mary and
it felt like they were like, well, this is our haunted in episode. Let's get all of it in because who knows if we're going to get a chance to revisit. So we might as well. And it also just reminds you how jam-packed with spooky this island will get to be.
Right. Totally. I also liked, I think I mentioned this last week, but the wallpaper is very yellow wallpaper, even though it's green. Let's move on to 3 and then we can kind of cover 4 because I think we're pretty good there.
Yeah, I think so.
And we got to keep going. So episode 3, the Sea Hag, also known as the inaugural swim.
This episode is the most so far Jersey feeling to me.
Jaws.
For Jaws. And then
wait, we got to pause.
Okay.
Because for our non-Jersey listeners, the fact that I just said Jaws when we were talking about Jersey, it might not make any sense because Jaws takes place on Long Island, right? And it has been denied by Steven Spielberg that he has based this on
okay, well, that's just
the
anti-Jersey rhetoric, and I refuse to engage.
Right. Because in 1916, there was a series of shark attacks at the Jersey Shore that killed 4 people, like nearly killed another person, like terrorized the shore. And it was literally like before they ever thought sharks were dangerous, they literally thought that they just wouldn't approach people until this one shark started just like destroying people. And so Jaws is associated with Jersey in my head, 100%. It also was the #1 movie the year I was born. So
it's your movie. I mean, it is one of those things where it's like, I kind of don't care whether Steven Spielberg based it on Jersey or not. It's so deep.
And it's based on a book, I believe, that is theoretically not based on the Jersey story also, but I don't believe that either.
And either way, that's the story I grew up believing. And so because of that, it's impossible for me to not make the Jersey connection there. In the same way that I would bet it's impossible for Katie Dippold to not make the Jersey connection there.
Yeah.
And Jaws, also the hag on the side of the road. It's just such a driving down a dark road in Jersey at night. Like it.
There's so many of those stories. Like, it's Clinton Road or one of the other roads where like a girl will come out if you like, stop. I can't remember. There's so many of them. I get confused.
Yeah, there's so many of them because there's also Annie's Road is another
right
one that isn't Clinton Road, but Clinton Road has their own. And then we have the
and then there's Shades of Death
here.
Road.
Yeah, it's just all over.
Exactly.
And again, I know that other places have their version of this. It's just when you're from the most densely populated state that also has the largest pine barrens, like the most densely populated state where also the pine barrens cover a majority of the state. Both of those things happening in the same pretty small area. Like we're just overrun with all of that. And so
I'm going to pop in the chat the Weird New Jersey page on Annie's Road, just because I think the photo or the drawing on it, the illustration is very apropos.
Yeah, exactly. That's so what Jody has shared with me is, first of all, perfect help me. Perfect composition.
Oh, yeah.
You just got to drop that opacity slider down and it's just perfectly made, but it is spooky figure, white dress, dark road. And I don't know Katie Dippold. I know that this is the kind of thing she was imagining when thinking about like, and not that she's like writing or directing every episode, but in the writer's
room,
it's in the kinds of things coming up.
It's in the stew,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Just because this is so relevant So Totowa, New Jersey, there's a road called Riverview Drive that's known as Annie's Road, that a bunch of teens always drive down looking for Annie's ghost. Annie, the story is she was a girl walking home from her prom in Little Falls. She was passing a cemetery when a large truck hit her and dragged her about 50 feet. And so if you drive down that road, people go and do that to look for her ghost. And like, there's so many stories of people seeing this like white clad girl ghost walking down the road.
And specifically, one of the other things that I love is the ritual of it. Like, it is thought that if you drive down the road at exactly 12 a.m., playing oldies music and driving with your car lights out in the middle of the two lines, then you can see her in the rear view mirror.
Right. Yes. I'm sorry. I should have. I'm so glad you did that, because I was so distracted by the like connection of the figure and the way it looks in this drawing to the old hag. That those are such important details, because those are the really specific things that like they're making him do when he is in the hotel, and you know.
And it's why this stuff can be so scary when you're doing it, even if nothing happens, because that ritual, you know, is something so many other teens have done on this exact road at this exact moment in this exact hour. And so you're part of this bigger history that is like, there's just something so that pulls you into it. And then I don't know, I could talk about it forever, but yes.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
There's also other versions of that story that like, you know, she was stood up at her prom and she got drunk while she was walking, and then she was hit by a bunch of high school kids, and like there's all sorts of variations. If people aren't from Jersey and they want to understand like what the vibe is that we're talking about, please go to the Weird New Jersey website and see the vibe, and you will understand. Like there's a whole section of like roads. Shades of Death Road, Clinton Road, Annie's Road, like Clinton Road, all sorts of, we've got lots of creepy places to drive around. Okay, so the hag, right? She scratches you, gets your skin under her nails so she can trace you like a bloodhound, and she kills you by sitting on your face.
That's right.
Which is beautiful. I do want to mention that they once again bring up Richard Warren, their founder, right at the beginning of this episode. It's part of a video they're watching in the Historical Society because there's a bunch of tourists now. It says, "Thank you for joining us for Richard Warren's journey from humble tradesman to the first Reeve, Prime, and Lord Island Protector, an office the town now colloquially refers to as mayor."
That's like, that had like a Severance-y feel to me. That's
yes,
the like,
definitely. I get that.
Of the like turning the like horrors into like institutionalizing the horror.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you see the bust is in the center, but then outside is the beheaded statue.
Right. And we also have the comment right after that. I should say
headless statue. I don't know that he was beheaded.
And they also mention that they say, and here's Richard the widower with his adoring second wife, Sarah Warren. Second wife. Let's put a pin in that. We have, speaking of roads, we have Dick Hole Street.
Dick Hole Street is so funny.
Yeah.
I love it.
But this is definitely the Jaws episode, because it's the mayor trying to prove that the water is safe, and instead of a shark, he sees the hag. He's explaining this to his new friend Marissa, or Mursa.
Mursa? God, she's so bad at her job. When he asks her to get whoever down at the restaurant on the line, and she says, "What's his number?"
Yeah. He's like, never mind. But he explains it as the mayor swims in the ocean every year to show that it's safe from the island's history of ocean dangers. Okay.
Ruth, one note about Ruth.
Yes.
She's the oldest woman on the island by a long shot. She says Monday for Monday, which is Philly, South Jersey. Specific, like that pronunciation, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's like how my dad said it, and he's from Gloucester. I was like, is that a little hint that Ruth is not island born? We don't know for sure, right? Just curious about that.
Yeah. It's hard to say, like, is it just the actor or is it intentional? But
it's such a specific way of saying that word.
Yeah. There's another when Tom is urging the sheriff to look into this woman that he has seen and been scratched by. He says, look, she's probably a homeless woman who got a free ride on the ferry, but you should call the mental hospitals on the mainland, just in case. First ping in my head. And set up a perimeter around the island. Island has a perimeter. It's called the ocean.
There's a prison / behavioral health center, insane asylum in South Jersey called Ancora. I've
heard of Ancora.
Yeah, it was it's still it's still operating. Yeah. But there were so many stories about the patients escaping there, and they have this neighborhood where all of the I'm hesitating because I'm trying to remember how much of this is factual and how much of this is urban legend. But they had these little tract houses, right, on stone foundations, and the story was that that's where all of the doctors and nurses and everybody lived because it's a little bit out of the way in Jersey, and that patients escaped and killed a bunch of people. And then now when you go, it's probably been actually built over. I have no idea. But it used to be when I was younger, you could drive through and the houses were just boarded up or totally gone, razed, in a way that felt like it happened very quickly, as if some terrible tragedy had befallen. So the escaped patient, that's funny. I was just going to say that's a big horror movie trope. Obviously, it's not just Jersey. For example, that's the Michael Myers origin, but Halloween was written by somebody who lived in New Jersey, in South Jersey, and based Haddonfield, Illinois on Haddonfield, New Jersey. So,
yeah. The thing that I thought was interesting about episode 3 into 4 is that 1 and 2 seem connected, but they could be standalone, right? So I was not expecting what happened in episode 4 to be a fleshing out of what was happening at the same time as episode 3. And I thought that was super interesting because I thought I had figured out basically the structure of the show. And instead it gave me a new way of thinking about how we would see these things. Because while this is all going on, we hear Tom talk about sunset cocktails, right? He is being attacked by the hag in his home, and Wick is shooting the hag with a gun and turning her into dirt and having a conversation with Tom about it, while episode 4 is also happening with Trish putting on sunset cocktails. And you're getting the one side of it where she's calling Tom and being like, you said you'd be here. And him saying she'd probably bring a gun to work if I didn't show up. And then of course he doesn't show up and we find out what's actually going on at sunset cocktails in the next episode. I really thought that this was super clever.
Yeah, it's really smart. And I like that it does open up for us to know that there can always be more to explore, even if we think something is closed for the moment. And that's also, there's some time stuff in a weird, it's not in a supernatural way, but just in a way that is reminding you that we can move maybe forward and backward in time on the show in a way that is not often the case.
And also sideways, right? Mm-hmm. We can see other sides of the same time frame in a separate episode. And it made me excited because a lot of these sort of quippy, somewhat throwaway lines or we thought they were throwaway lines that we've heard in other episodes are probably coming back.
Yes, exactly.
Because you're oh, sunset cocktails has gotten mentioned a couple of times. He doesn't go, it's just the thing the town is doing. And then you're oh no, it's the whole premise of the next episode. And so all these mentions of the first mayor and of the cannibalism in the church and all sorts of stuff, those are not just throwaway lore, background info. I feel a lot of that stuff is setting up for later.
I'm so glad you said that because now we're moving into episode 4, but we obviously we're not hitting every detail, but first there's the siren in the first episode. Then it's the bell ringing at night. And we see Toby Huss. I forget his name on the show, but
Bryce.
Is that his name? The priest.
Yeah, Bryce.
Yeah. going up into the belfry and seeing that the bell is chained up. Very scary.
Yes,
that was real spooky. But that could also be one of those things where it's like, oh, it's almost funny that the bell is dealt with so seriously. Do you know what I mean? But then we find out that it is.
Right.
So serious.
Yeah. All this stuff is coming back, you know? And like it doesn't feel, because it's done in such a like quick like quippy way, you're kind of not sure what parts to take seriously.
Exactly.
And so it's really fun when like you realize, oh no, they're not just fucking around like naming like lore. Like some of this stuff, or most of it probably, is going to reappear.
Or has the potential to. This
for
is
sure.
Another show where it's like, give me 10 seasons of this.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. So let's move on to episode 4.
Yes.
Because that is where we are currently up to. And so episode 4 is referred to as Beach Reads. This is, when I saw that book, I was like, oh, this book is going to talk to her.
Yup.
This book is here for her. It's like, it also, I'm such a sucker for this. In the donation box, it's next to a Stephen King book. Mm-hmm. I love that.
This show is like, we know. We know what we're doing and what this is. And
they knew with that font.
Yes. And we're not trying to pretend otherwise. And we want you to be there with us.
Yes. So the sort of log line of this episode is that we find out so much more about Patricia, right?
It's cool to see.
It's a Patricia.
How they open. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very Carrie in a way. It's very bullied teen girl goes crazy and like seeks revenge. But in this case, it's unintentional revenge.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unintentional or like repressed. Subconscious revenge. Also, first reel couldn't not feel Yellow Jackets in
my God.
That last scene.
Every girl needs an antler crown.
Every girl needs an antler crown.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. I loved it. I got a real kick out of the reveal that her tiara was actually like not just an antler crown, but like that she's surrounded by like chopped up animals.
And it's an antler crown with like a fox, some sort of some sort of critter head.
Yeah, I didn't look too closely because it was a lot of gross shit. Hair and blood and yeah.
It's so fun how they keep saying things like that stupid thing on her head, what's on her head, like, and then we see. This
is also some Shining references with the party, Carrie, the book, sort of like an Evil Dead.
Because that's the thing with the show having layers is that book could have worked just the way it was. This episode had like a weird, Are You Afraid of the Dark-ish feel to me? Not weird, but more than any of the other ones did. Because like that book didn't have to be an Evil Dead Necronomicon looking book. It could have just been weird, spooky book because this town is weird. But then we have that extra layer.
Yeah, and it also gave me hints of, and again, I only watched a couple episodes of Buffy, so this is me talking out of my ass. But like,
you're so right.
But Buffy, like the library,
Well, and there are episodes where, okay, I'm glad you said that because you are so right. There are, the thing about Sunnydale is it's on a hellmouth, yes, but also the townspeople are just kind of used to stuff being weird and will accept any excuse for anything, even when there are episodes where all of the adults revert to their teenage years and just start acting really outlandishly and then they all just kind of go back to it. Like the episode where, the Halloween episode where everybody in their costumes becomes the character.
Yes, we watched that.
Yeah, exactly. Like that stuff just happens in this town and people justify it because it feels better to accept a bad excuse than to accept that your town is cursed. Mm-hmm. But here in this town, except for the mean girls, like, everybody is ready to accept that this stuff is happening. But it's very Buffy.
Yeah. And the fact that like she's already ostracized and seen as this like weird, crazy girl hysterical, whatever. The fact that, like, at the beginning of the party, in reality, she's wearing antlers on her head. It kind of, like, at first you're like, well, why aren't they all freaking out? But, like, this island is full of weird shit.
Exactly.
And she's the weird one on the weird island.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? There's also a lot of Blair Witch vibes going on the last 2 episodes, or even 3 with the video camera in episode 2.
The video camera in episode 2, there's when in the video in the historical center when the tourists are coming.
I'm so glad you brought this up. Yeah.
Yeah. And he says goodbye and turns around like he's going to leave, but just stands facing the wall.
Oh my God, I know. The
so
corner.
Blair Witch. So
Staring
scary.
at the corner.
Yeah.
I know.
But yeah, the little stick creatures on all the tables and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so there's the reveal that, of course, this isn't just a regular party where suddenly everybody decides they love Patricia after she serves the punch, after the book tells her to serve the punch. And the book starts really, like, speaking directly to her, which felt very Stephen King to me.
Mm-hmm. We haven't really talked about how good this show looks and how thoughtful they are, and like how cool, like the reveal in the mirror of, like, you see everybody smiling at her when she's giving her little talk, and then the camera pans around and you see in the mirror the way all their jaws are dropped. Like, have you watched The Ring?
I will not watch The Ring.
Yeah, you wouldn't. The scariest part of The Ring is in the beginning when they show how the, like, first victim is found dead, and she has one of those, like, her jaw is open so wide of, it's like
I
fear,
do know
but
that.
Yeah,
I do know that reference from just being a human associated with, like, some of these stories. But I also love, like, there's a moment, it's not just the mirror shot where, like, the camera pans and, like, someone's blocking our view, and then we see it for a second and people's mouths are open, then it goes back to normal. Like, it's really clever the way that it's shot. The production design obviously is incredible, but we get the reveal that she is actually doing some home witchcraft.
Love it.
And again, this is what I mean about Rosemary, because she's very nonchalant.
She was being supportive, Jody.
She was being supportive.
Patricia told her to be supportive.
Yeah. I think I was looking at Reddit about this episode, and somebody had said, talking about this, like, how much people did or didn't freak out about the way she was acting. And they said, they all think she's that weird. Rosemary, I go back and forth between her being jaded from experiencing too much supernatural shit and potentially being a witch. So, but Rosemary is, like, incredibly chill with what's going on.
I hope she's a witch. That would be fun. Too. That would be fun and cool.
Absolutely.
She can't do anything right today, so.
And so this ends with them realizing that basically the book has used Patricia to potentially kill the townspeople by, like, poisoning them, drugging them, and then drawing them to the bonfire where they all walk into the sea together. And she has to stop it by sticking the book in the fire because it's stuck to her hand, which is one of my, like, horror movie moments. Mm-hmm. She can't throw it into the fire, so she has to just burn it with her hand.
And it works.
It does.
And then, the thing that, you know, those mean girls are so mean to her, obviously.
I know.
And the weird girl, it's always like the carry of it all. But they give the like Queen Bee that little moment where if you don't believe Patricia, that she's just making this up. Like she said, like, Patricia says, I hid under the bed. And she's like, oh, nobody else thought to hide under their bed. Like, that is insulting. That would make me really mad too. Like, if I believed that Patricia wasn't the final girl and that she was, like, stolen, not even valor, but, like, this stolen tragedy. And I might be so nasty to her in a way that feels outsized to other people if that were the case.
Yeah, because, I mean, the lore is that ever since this happened when they were teenagers, like, a bunch of their friends were murdered by this serial killer called the Boogeyman, and, like, they think she made up the fact that he stalked her, but she's the one person that got away.
Right. And is still bringing it up. Oh, I mean, it's the
Right.
one of the first things we learn about her in the show.
Yeah.
Do you believe her?
I kind of do.
I do too. Maybe it's just because I want to, because I like her so much. But it's just for a show like this, it's just like,
Yeah. No,
it
I
makes
do.
way more sense for her to.
Well, and the show is telling us that she's one of the good guys by putting her at the end of this episode with her ghost fighting teammates of Rick and Tom in the truck. Like, she found her people.
They're building us a golden trio. They're building us a golden trio, and I love it so much. Let's go back to evil. We've got them here.
Yeah, she's sitting in between them in the truck, and you see her just be like, well, I guess these are my people. Like, yeah, I love that ending. I love what that tells us about what's coming.
Yes, very that.
Especially because her whole thing is that she doesn't really have friends. Like, she goes to this wine and cheese party, even though she kind of knows what's going to happen, and everybody's really super mean to her, and nobody's RSVPing to the sunset cocktails. She has to literally like pull strings to get the Elks Lodge party canceled so that they have nowhere else to go.
So funny. Oh, and Jeff Hiller. I also want him to be, there's somebody somewhere of it. I just want him being in charge of the music at all of my parties.
Well, he's got to get Spotify Premium if that's going to happen.
So funny. I wanted that to be a runner through the whole episode where like every so often
you'd hear an ad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that covers the main beats of this episode. I want to mention quickly the music. The Rhythm of the Night being the song that they're all dancing to. I didn't look it up last night, but apparently the video for that song, like the music video, is like a ghostly...
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen it.
I don't know if I have. I'm about to find out.
Huh.
It's literally got like tarot cards in it.
Yeah.
It's got like occult symbols. It's also got what looks like Jersey Shore rides in the background.
I was just going to say that. That looks like the Great White, my favorite roller coaster on the Jersey Shore.
So anyway, I just wanted to point that out because it was like a 1994-ish hit. Yeah, 93 came out in Europe, was big in 94 in the US. And that kind of tracks with the vibes we're talking about, this like 90s witchy, Carrie, type storytelling. Anything else specific we want to highlight from episode 4, or should we talk
I think we can talk more broadly now. Yeah, talk theories now.
All right, let me start with my first theory because it dovetails off of the end of this episode. And then I want to hear what yours are. They may be the same. Okay. So in this episode, we once again get the trope of Sheriff Bashir talking to his wife via radio, right? Tom's wife died in childbirth. Mm-hmm. The place is called Widow's Bay.
It's right there in the name.
And we're told that it's because of the widows of the sea captains, like waiting for their husbands to come home. But there is a whole lot going on there with husbands and their wives. And like the first mayor, Richard Warren, and his second wife, like where's the first wife?
Right, it's Widow's Bay.
Right. And so like all of a sudden I'm noticing the fact that like I don't think any of these men have wives. There's a lot of talk about the death of women and women ghosts and hags and witches. And I'm starting to think I had two theories about like the sort of origins of what's going on this island. One, I don't think they're going to do, which is more the like, nobody was there. And it's like, well, we know that in New England, there were people here.
Right.
Like there were a lot of people here when the boats got here. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, but I don't think they're going to go like Native American or Indigenous massacre.
Yeah.
So, like that's a little too heavy for the vibe of the show. I think what would make more sense is like the captain or Richard Warren, the guy who landed here with his 42 or 43 people, like, murdered his wife, or his wife was a witch, or he thought she was a witch. And so it started this chain reaction of like scorned women or something like haunting the island.
Yeah, I have something a similar thought, especially with the Salem witch trials being a great sense of pride for them because they caught them, they burned them. That maybe the witches are a real thing on this island.
Yeah. Also,
The
there's an apostrophe after widow, not widows. Like it's it's
widow.
a widow's bay.
Oh, is it is the island? So the chair in the also, first of all, is the sheriff's wife alive?
Oh, that was where I was going with it in the first place. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm glad you got me back to it. That was what made me think of it, was like, is he actually talking to a real person? Right? Or is he communicating with his dead wife via radio?
Especially because the only person we see him talk to his wife on the phone is Wick when he's in the cell, and Wick says, "You thinking of going somewhere?" or something like that. And
yeah.
And he says, "As soon as I can." And Wick says, "Smart," which is not what Wick would say if it seems to me like at the very least Wick knows something's going on with him and is just kind of being kind, because if he really thought this guy and his wife were making plans to leave the island, he'd be trying to dissuade him at every...
Right, because we don't know if the sheriff was born there. He is the only black person we've seen so far. So it does feel like maybe he wasn't, because where's everyone else if that's the case? But yeah, it's one of those, like, is his wife already dead? Or if not, he being the only black person on this island in a horror movie universe needs to fucking get out of there.
You're right. Yes.
Like 100%.
Yeah. And also I think Tom's kid probably will be able to leave the island. He's the only half islander that we know.
But he was born there, wasn't he?
So he shouldn't be able to leave, except he was
right.
born, but he was born of an
But that's
island.
not the lore.
Well, but they haven't said anything either way, right? Do we know anybody else for sure who is from island who lives there? I don't know. So
I mean,
I'm just curious about that.
I was under the impression that the lore is, if you're born there, you can't leave.
Right. I mean, that is what they say.
I think that the kid hasn't left the island.
Oh, I believe that too.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of the reasons that Tom is sticking it out, is because there's a part of him that believes he can't bring his kid off the island, obviously. But I wonder if we'll find out at some point that because Tom isn't of island born, his son is in a loophole where he'll get to leave later, maybe. I don't know.
I feel like that's maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I was really kind of stuck on the fact that, like, he just can't go.
One small thing, and then back to what my actual theory is. This isn't really a theory. This is just, I think, being hinted at. Wick was the mayor.
Yes,
something happened. Mm-hmm. That's why Tom ran uncontested. That's why they have such a fraught relationship.
Yep, totally on board with that one.
I think he even says, like, you can't stand somebody else being in charge or in control.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I think that's just something we're going to find out. My big thought so far is that chair underground facing a hatch that is, you know how I feel about a hatch.
You love a hatch. We know.
Complications during childbirth, Widow's Bay, some reason. The only thing that doesn't track for me with Tom and his wife is I just think there's no way he wouldn't, if Tom doesn't know this at the very least, but some sort of sacrifice that has to happen.
It feels like a sacrifice chamber
to
of some
keep
sort.
Something at bay.
Right.
And maybe the widow is what they call whatever that thing is behind the hatch. And that bell being tied up and the stuff waking up, whatever it is, it's calling for a new sacrifice.
And we also haven't even talked about the fact that right before the priest, Bryce, kills himself, he's, like, listening down a well. Which,
well in the middle of the woods? What?
On an island.
Yes.
Like, there's something about the underground, you know.
What if it's a big, giant black widow? And it's
like a spider?
Yeah, like Widow's Bay. Like
Absolutely
the black widow, keep the black widow at bay. You have to sacrifice.
If this is about a spider, I am out. I can't do spiders.
But the thing with this show, too, is that, like, we're talking about what the big thing is, and maybe it's not the big thing, it's just one of the things. Like,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
Well, that's kind of why I'm having fun speculating as opposed to getting frustrated, because I'm kind of like happy with whatever they do.
Yes, totally.
I just am having a good time picking up some breadcrumbs that I didn't realize were breadcrumbs when I first saw them.
Yeah, it's really fun, and it
Yeah.
does let us do. Yeah, there's just so much that could happen here.
One more fun note from Reddit on an Easter eggy type thing. In the poster, like the picture poster for the show, he's rowing a boat and he's rowing backwards. Like he's facing the wrong way in the boat.
Huh.
Like if he was actually rowing, he'd be going backwards and in a circle. So that's just funny.
Time stuff in a way.
Yeah.
If they want it to be.
Yeah. Exactly.
Katie Dippold, come on our podcast.
Yes, please. 100%. There's some really fun stuff coming, I think.
Yeah, this show can really kind of do. It's funny because this is such a good example of like what being really specific and having a really strong point of view actually ends up opening up to let you do more, because this show is so well defined with this island life that it really, like, anything can happen, like, and I would be open to it because they've given us such a world this quickly that, like, I want to see it from every angle that.
Yeah, and I trust that they're going to keep themselves within this world while they do it. Like, I don't think they're going to, like, they can go back to Puritan times, and I'm all for it.
And it'll still feel, yes, exactly.
So I just want to highlight that the name of the next episode is What to Expect on Your Trip. And I'm not going to read the log line for the episode in case people don't want any spoilers whatsoever. The next episode comes out on Wednesday. We'll record as soon as we can afterwards. And I'm excited to see what to expect on my trip.
That's right. That's right. I can't wait. Jody, I was just looking to see if we got any reviews, emails, etc. lately, and we did get a podcast review. And normally I wouldn't share a 1-star review, but I am perplexed. So Colby Gilbert, if you listen to us, although I guess after this review you won't anymore, are bots leaving Apple Podcast reviews? Because
you never know.
We got a 1-star. The subject is Jeesh. These are two wild podcasters. Every word has some sort of tinge of I could have done this better or something like that. Just overall, two people who seem to dislike most people and things in the pit, but seem to podcast about it. But hey, that's podcasters. A bunch of folks who think that they're unique, but they are really just super critical entertainment watchers that complain about how TV shows should work. I mean, most episodes of this podcast is them complaining about how the show works. I mean, they aren't hiding it, folks. They are teaching us some stuff. Stop watching if you don't like it. But hey, podcasters aren't here to like things. They're here to dislike and make sure people don't like things too much.
Interesting.
I'm not even being defensive. I'm genuinely perplexed.
Yeah, no, that does not feel like our vibe at all.
Especially with the pit. I think if anything, you and I have been maybe a little soft on the pit.
No, we talked constantly about how much we love it. Like towards the end, okay. I'm not going to get defensive either because I don't feel like it's needed. But I do think that a certain type of person might not like the specific kind of critiques that we did have that I thought were very fair in terms of the misogyny of the show or the misogyny of the character in the show. But I think we had a pretty nuanced conversation about that, and we both love that show, so I'm not going to take that one on board.
No, but Colby, if it is you, I'd love for you. Why don't you leave us a 5-star review next and let us know if it was you?
There we go.
Or not if it was you. I know this was you. If you meant to leave this for us or a different podcast covering the pit, you know how else you could let us know is Colby Gilbert.
Look at that.
Why don't you give us a call at 856-336-8986 and let us know how you really feel. That's not a joke. I'm genuinely curious. You could also email us at watcherspodnj@gmail.com. Colby Gilbert.
You totally could. And you could also go to our Instagram at watcherspodnj. And please don't go to my Instagram at Jody_Mim and talk to me about this. If you don't like our pod, there's places for that.
Yeah, you could message me if you wanted AQ Andrew AQ, but I never look at my Instagram messages. It is one of my social media blocks. So for some reason, I just can't
Absolutely.
I never look in those messages. So
Absolutely. And, you know, if he wants to go on a little trip in the meantime and he doesn't want to go to Widow's Bay, what can he do?
Well, he could bang himself in the head.
Get in the car
and go to New Jersey.
It
sounds threatening when you put...
It does say, but it sounds more threatening now.